Okay, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everyone. This will be the first motherhood question and answer session for the Ilm Institute. I am actually an instructor in the Ilm Institute with the Holistic Happy Motherhood course. If you go to the website, you will be able to see the course, and with that, if you are also taking that course, you will get two other free courses as well on related to holistic wellness. The main purpose for me is to educate mothers on holistic wellness is to have preventive healing so that they are well informed about their conditions and they know what to do in what circumstance before actually running to a doctor and getting the medications done. The doctor is always there for the complications and for any emergency cases, but when you are actually facing something which could be mild and which is really very common, it is not actually a disease. And for example, maybe a cold or a flu in its beginning stages, so you just don't run to the doctor and you start your healing from changing your diet, your lifestyle, your stress levels, etc. So I am a certified breastfeeding counselor and a teacher in training for Amani childbirth education, also certified in breast milk and the infant microbiome, which is dealing with infant gut health. So this is the first question and answer session by Ilm Institute, and Jazakumullahu khairan for inviting me for this. We look forward for having you all. If you have any questions related to motherhood, holistic wellness, and if is in line with my certifications, I would really love to reply and answer your questions so that we can grow further the informed women regarding their pregnancy, birth, postpartum, uh, everything, inshallah. So we could take the questions. Anyone, if they have any questions. Yeah, you can send in your queries in the chat box below. Once I see those queries, I will reply to you. Okay, the first question is, I have one daughter, 21 months old. She don't want to eat anything, but whenever we give her a device, she eats easily. If we don't, she doesn't eat. What should we do? I think you might know the answer then and there itself why she is eating. If she's distracted, she eats well. Actually, that is a phase for toddlerhood. Once they reach the age of 2 years, even with my own children, I have a 3 year old and a 3 year old and 7 months, and the other one is 4 months. So when my elder daughter was around the same age, when she reached 24 months, now they are more independent and they walk on their own, they start talking, they start seeing the world, exploring the world. Once they start seeing something in colors, I believe what I have observed from my own child is they are seeing a lot of colors around them. They are completely dynamic movements, and everything is so colorful around them. They want to experience everything, they want to explore everything. So usually what I have read on the articles is like you make the food uh, very creative, very colorful, so that they also eat their food. But one more thing is that it's also depending on the taste. So, and they also know that they can say no. they know the taste. They will say no to certain foods, and if they're distracted, they won't see much of the food that is given to them. They hardly look at that. They're mostly intrigued by the TV and the colors going on there, so they just eat the food. And that's one habit normally as parents, and especially in places where we are not having an extended family system, we try to manage things that way so that we keep them distracted either through TV or mostly through TV. But there are other ways you can keep your daughter distracted. If there's someone else at home, maybe they could start speaking to her or keep her distracted through some kind of independent play. For example, if you give her blocks and she's making those blocks while you're feeding her and you're talking to her, she can play those blocks and she can keep eating. So that is one habit you can put for her instead of actually being distracted by the colors or the cartoons on the TV. Just giving an alternative without actually removing it altogether. Or if she's able to understand, you can tell her like no more TV while eating. So we start developing a good habit. But I think at 21 months of age, they do understand. But you can also give an alternative. You need to do all the trial and error with all the toddlers and preschoolers. Is all trial and error. So you can start giving her an alternative, like let her take her blocks and come, and then you start talking to her or tell her stories at that time, so that she's listening to you and playing with the blocks, and she's eating also at that time. So inshallah, probably this could help, because with my own daughter, when I have tried, it has helped to a certain extent during that age. But now when she's 3 years old, she has her own choices. She's like, no, I don't want to play while eating, I just want to watch something while eating. So that time you can tell her like, no, while watching TV, you're not supposed to eat, or while eating, you're not supposed to watch TV. It's not a good habit. So maybe if she's understanding at once she's 3 years old, she'll start forming that relation association. But now, I think you can give her an alternative so that she's playing while you're actually feeding her. Hope that helps, inshallah. And yeah, if we don't eat, she don't eat. Yes, that's still the case even with a preschooler of mine. If we don't eat, she won't eat. She just doesn't find it enjoyable. So try to express that this food is so tasty. Wow, it's so tasty. Mommy loves it. So you also try to have it. But there are times that age to up to 3 years. I think you will. There is it's a hard time for getting children to eat. So try to make something which she likes, and most probably something healthier, and giving her this alternative of independent play during eating probably might help, inshallah. Am I audible to others? Sister Zainab can't hear. Okay. I think Sister Zainab, you try to just adjust your speaker settings at that time. Maybe some issues with your laptop, I guess, because I'm audible to others. Okay. So hope I've answered the first question, Sister Fatima. Another problem is she wants to eat breast milk all over the night, and even in the daytime she wants to eat VM between a little gap. So how can I reduce this issue? Yeah, at this age, and this is the age of weaning time. So what you can do, Sister Fatima, is try to wean her off in the daytime first by giving her the foods that she likes. Introduce her to healthy foods and the foods that she likes. Usually, I think kids go for sweeter foods like dates, figs. You can give her those, or cucumber, these kind of foods. If she likes them, she's able to fill her tummy with that. Then slowly try to wean her off in the morning time, in the day, during the daytime feeds, and keeping her as distracted as possible. Um, and also, before offering your milk, feed her first with the solid, and then offer her your milk, so that the quantity she takes of your breast milk is less. This is point number two. Now, point number three is weaning off for the night time is quite hard, and that takes a bit of a time. So at night time, you need to start weaning off when she is weaned off in the daytime first, and which has to be very gradual. It cannot be sudden, because it will uh, make them develop a negative association to stopping the milk. At night time, you can start weaning her off. Maybe you would need to work up in getting her up when she wants to feed. You can just soothe her by rocking her, or telling her a surah, talking to her. I haven't done that personally, but what I have done is, my daughter, she wasn't weaning off even in the morning time. So I had, that was my first struggle. So some babies, what they, when they have a distraction, maybe as some other someone, some child to play with, they also wean off even in those format. If she has some kids to play with, she'll get really tired and she'll sleep. So what happened with my daughter is we went for a stay, and then there was a friend's son, and she was playing with him all day. All day she had weaned off in the morning time by then, but the night time was really hard. So she was really tired and she slept, and that from that night onwards she left the milk. So it was like that. So basically you try to make them more distracted and tired as possible, so that they're not getting up in between to take the feed. So these are the ways you can wean her off at morning and night time. But the first method is to wean her off during the morning times, and then wean her off at the night time, so that your milk supply is not affected immediately. And I think by now you should start weaning her off. New mother here. My daughter is 8 days old. She always has hiccups. What causes the hiccups and how to make it stop? Do I wait until the hiccups stop, or do I feed her to make it stop? Usually babies have these hiccups. It's also because that they have reflux. I need to know if your daughter has a reflux and she's spitting up, and is she exclusively breastfeeding? You can answer me in the later down below, where I can just wait for your answer, and then once after I get that I can reply. Okay, you bottle feed and breastfeed her. So I need to know the reason. Why do you bottle feed her? What is the reason that you bottle feed her? And what has been her birth weight? How was her birth? Sister Jian, yeah, okay, that's the main issue with new mothers. They think that they don't have enough breast milk and they start introducing the formula, and which is a sad reality for many mothers here, worldwide, basically. So, what was the reason that you felt that your breast milk wasn't enough, Sister Jian? Okay. Till the time I get the reply from Sister Jian, I will answer the next question. Okay. She said, I'm not quite sure also as to the reason. However, I noticed just yesterday that produced milk just enough. I breastfeed her now most of the time. Yes, sister, your breast milk, there is nothing as something called low milk supply unless it is truly a low milk supply where you're not getting milk at all from your breasts. And one more thing, if you have introduced formula in the beginning days of your baby's life, then there is a high chance that your breast milk supply would eventually reduce. So in order to do an exclusive breastfeeding, it's important that you feed them on demand. And if they have something like jaundice or they're sleepy babies, you just help them by expressing the milk in their mouth directly, or you try to rub their ears or just tickle their toes so that they can breastfeed when they are sleepy babies. And once the jaundice is gone, they will be able to feed better, that they have a good latch. The best way is to feed them in a laid back position, which is a natural nurturing position. So all of these methods can help solve your issues where you don't need to worry about the low milk supply, because the first 2 months of your postpartum, the supply needs to get established. So it won't be standard. By the third day, fourth day, usually you will see the mature milk coming in. If it is taking a bit more time, then it could be because of any of the interventions that you have had during the delivery, IV fluids, or forceps delivery, or vacuum, or any sort of medications or stress related issues. If you have gone through during your delivery, it does impact your supply, or post delivery medications or IV drips. All of these can impact your milk supply to some extent for a few days temporarily. But at that point, you just need to make sure that you are feeding your baby on demand. And that time is really a hard time. I understand that you won't get sleep much, and you might not get sleep at all. But if you keep a baby log and see her feeding pattern, and have her urine and poopy diapers checked, how many urine or poopy diapers in a day. So it should be around, by the end of 2 weeks, it should be uh, at least one to two to three poopy diapers, and increasing further on. And also, it's also best that you are in touch with a breastfeeding counselor or a lactation consultant if you notice any issues in between the time that you're trying to establish your milk supply. So usually it takes about 1 month to 2 months. And once your milk supply is established and their latch is well, you won't face any sort of issues in your milk supply, and they would keep feeding properly. And those will be the other different issues that you might come across if it is a reflux or any block nose issue. So otherwise, you don't need to worry about anything, and I don't think you need to substitute with any formula milk at this point. You can start doing your exclusive um, feeding for your baby, and that is the best. That would be the best for your baby in the long term. And the next question we had was, what can a pregnant woman do to prepare for motherhood at an early stage? The preparation for a pregnant woman begins before pregnancy, from the time she's planning to conceive. It begins at the time of conception, because a healthy embryo will yield a healthy fetus. So there has to be a healthy ovulation, a healthy sperm in order to have a healthy embryo. So when you have your lifestyle into more natural foods, when you have your lifestyle into more natural foods, and reducing your stress levels, you don't have any processed foods, you're managing your daily routine properly with a good lifestyle, having enough pure air, reducing chemicals, detoxing your home, decluttering your home from any toxins or chemicals, having a pure air. Pure air can be achieved by burning frankincense at home, and having enough of sun, and having a good amount of water in a day. So these are the things that will also help you also conceive a healthy child. So that preparation is necessary, because if the embryo is not healthy, there might be issues later on in the fetus stage. So when you're having a healthy conception, you have a healthy pregnancy, and during the pregnancy, you need to be informed about the different stages of development for the baby, and what you need to look out for in terms of your nutrition if you have any symptoms. And the best thing is, you also need to get checked before you become pregnant regarding any deficiencies that you have, so that those deficiencies don't play out on during the pregnancy. For example, all the vitamins, magnesium, calcium, zinc, vitamin D, iron level. So it's best that you have them checked, the proper complete blood profile if you have, and then you start planning a pregnancy so that you are already having those supplements in hand and you have a healthy pregnancy without much symptoms. And during the pregnancy, also look out for a proper care provider who's very supportive enough of your birth preferences if you plan to birth naturally without any interventions, and having a support system there, a supportive doctor and a team, and a supportive midwife. So it's best that you also do your homework properly by researching the best hospitals available who support natural births. Natural birth is different from normal births. Normal birth is just normal. It can be including forceps, vacuum, IV fluids, CTG, all of that. But a natural birth is where you are allowed to move freely and you are able to birth without any sort of interventions. And you really would have the beautiful birth which you dreamt of. And that does impact your complete personality and your relationship after the birth. Any sort of trauma that you face during the delivery, during birth, or after that can impact your behavior as a mom towards your baby and towards even your husband after the delivery if you have gone through any sort of postpartum depression. So, in order to prevent all of this, it's important that you do your homework, research a proper care provider, have your facts ready with the pregnancy, and take a prenatal class, take antenatal and prenatal classes, and even know what to expect postpartum. So that's what I do. I help moms uh, get educated regarding their pregnancies, and I also help them during the course of their full pregnancy and also breastfeeding journey. So you need to have all of the information in hand before you take an informed decision. Okay, the next question is, my son is 29 months old. Most of the time, he avoids complimentary foods, always eager to take breast milk only. His weight for his age also less than normal. What can we do? Sister, this is a common issue in the toddler months. The reason because they are distracted and they also get bored. If you are living in a nuclear family system, then it's highly probable that your children could get bored, and because of the boredom also they just want to comfort feed, mostly after the age of 2, after the age of the weaning stage, like around 8 months to 1 year plus. Usually it's for the comfort that they want to feed. It's not for the food, it's only just to be near you. The separation anxiety that comes in, so you need to make them feel secure enough or get them involved, distracted into any kind of play, or have friends over, or take them out. So basically only I think distraction would help in the baby not coming to your breast every time they want to feed. It is quite hard, but you also there are these traditional methods where you try neem oil and all of these methods where the baby just leaves it with a bad taste. So those are some traditional methods that you could try and see, inshallah. The weight is not much of a concern if he is active and he is thriving well and is meeting his milestones. If the first 2 to 3 days the breast milk is not out, what will the baby consume? The first 2 to 3 days, the first day of delivery, Sister Zafira, is the colostrum. The colostrum would be enough. The drops of colostrum itself would be enough because a baby's stomach is only the size of a marble in the first day, first 2 to 3 days. So the colostrum is more than enough for the baby to fill up. And once the 3 4 days have passed, by fifth to seventh day onwards, or 3 to 6th day, you will get the mature milk coming in, and you need to have your vitamin D levels checked. If you have low vitamin D levels, it might lead to an oversupply, and it could also cause the baby to repel on the breast and refuse the breast. So have your vitamin D also checked beforehand so that you don't face any issues of breast refusal, because many new mothers do face this, and us being hijabis, we normally don't get the sun. So see to it that if you are having a good dosage of vitamin D, which also goes back to your baby. You don't have to give the baby separate vitamin D doses. And yeah, the milk that comes in the first 2 to 3 days is colostrum, and the next starts with the mature milk. Sister Zainab, I am pregnant with my fifth baby, and I have a 15-month-old who is breastfeeding during the night. She wakes up often, but the problem is my milk is gone very less, and I started getting cramps My midwife said that I should stop feeding her, otherwise, I might fall into labor before the time. I tried giving her a bottle, but she refused to take it and screams out of her throat, and I am scared she might wake my other kids up. I am scared that when my milk will stop completely, what will I do during the night with her? Any advice? Okay, one. This is a challenge, and but you're since 15-month old. She's also into solids. There's no harm, as far as I know, in feeding your baby even when you're pregnant, but there is a chance that your milk supply would reduce by the second trimester, end of second trimester onwards. So you need to be prepared by, or you can pump your milk and give her in a bottle. uh, Giving her in a bottle is, you have to try out different ways how she can get distracted and start having that, but give her some bottle where where it's resembling, or don't give it in a bottle, give her in a sippy cup. Let her not drink in a bottle. Give her a sippy cup where you're offering her usually juices and water. So in the same thing, offer her your milk, offer her your pumped milk so that she's able to feed your milk by the time you wean her off. But I think you would need to pump if you want to maintain your milk supply. If you feel that you don't want her to have your milk from this month onwards, then you can wean her off if she's ready to wean off. And the weaning off technique is usually only distractions, because I've had just one experience, and it is the same. They just don't listen, and unless they feel a bad taste, or they have a very big distraction, or they're really tired and they go to sleep. So you need to try trial and error. Trial and error is the one that can help you, inshallah. If you want to keep up your milk supply, you can pump and then give it to her in the cup which she usually drinks. Yeah. So we can take in audio questions as well if anyone wants to speak to me and get their questions answered. It's not necessary that you have to give the bottle during the night, Sister Zainab. You can just offer her something, offer her a solid before the night, before she goes to sleep. And just if she is wanting to feed uh, at your breast, then just offer her after she's at least full from the solids. You need to try to distract her and get her to feed the solids, and then try to feed her, uh, to take the bottle. Not the bottle necessarily, just I. If she's not needing it during the night, then she's not going to feed your milk. This is a common problem. I think it's quite normal. The skin of my breasts are becoming loose like an old woman. Though she is my first child, I actually don't know the problem, but usually I feed her by lying on the bed. Yeah, it's a normal thing. The physiology of the woman usually gets hampered, and that's why we are birthing all generations. And Sister Fatima, I don't think it's much of an issue. If you are really concerned about it, then you could try massaging with the olive oil. It would help in moisturizing and probably tightening, and also have collagen increasing foods like nuts, and see if your muscles are toning. This is not my area of speciality, but because many moms do go through this situation, it's quite common. We can take in audio questions if anyone wants. It's advisable to pump. If yes, when should one pump? It's advisable to pump if you are feeling that you have a low milk supply. Like, for example, if you have had a cesarean and then you are on medications, your milk would take time to come in. But I wouldn't advise pumping in the beginning, in the first 2 months of delivery, because it could lead to oversupply. What you can do is you can directly express in a cup and give to your baby rather than pumping. That would help the baby get the milk that is needed, and also feeding on demand. But if you're going back to work, that's where usually the women are advised to pump and keep and store the milk. If you're a stay at home mom, then necessarily it's not of an issue to pump. You don't need to pump when you are at home and feeding your baby, exclusively breastfeeding your baby. But if you're going back to work, then it probably would be necessary so that you pump and store the milk for the baby. During childbirth, is there any surah or dua to read to make it easy? Dua is surah. There is no specific surah in the evidence in the Quran or Ahadith. But the dua is for any difficulty you're going through. It's best that you recite Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta tajalul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. So this is a very good dua where you ask Allah to make your affairs easy. So it's a very good even dua for during labor. The last question is for the dua for the labor, right? No, you are a different Fatima. What was your last question, Sister Fatima? I think I have answered your question, Sister Fatima. Maybe you could check out in the recording. Some people say to me that if the nipple area is flat, the baby will cry and will refuse to drink the milk from the breast. Is it true? If it's true, what's the solution? There are issues of flat nipples, and yeah, the babies would cry because they won't be able to latch well because the nipple is not coming out during the feeding. So there are ways we show with videos, and we also, if we visit the mother, we help them show how they should first remove the nipple and then feed the baby, or with the nipple sheet also it helps, or a manual method where you remove the nipple out to feed the baby. So it's best done through visiting a breastfeeding counselor or a lactation consultant, or we also send you videos in order to help you do it on your own. Yes, I've answered your question regarding your loose skin, Sister Fatima. The dua, you can get it on duas.com, or when you search for authentic duas online, you can get the dua on the net. Yes, Sister Fatima, I have answered your question regarding the loose skin. Yeah, you can get it in Hisnul Muslim app or the Fortress of the Muslim. You can buy that book, or you can even download that app if it's available and get the dua there. Yaki. We can take in any audio questions also if anyone wants to talk to me. There is no specific age difference between two children, but if you are breastfeeding your one child, it's better that you plan for a second one after you have weaned her off. so that your body is coming back to the normal state before you get pregnant for the second time. Because when you're breastfeeding, your hormones are in a different state, and there would be certain amount of hormonal imbalance because you're breastfeeding. So it's better physiologically and mentally, if you feel that you can handle a baby after 2 years, then it's better that you have keep a 2 years gap and then plan for your next one. Wallahu alam. Any biography or Islamic story you recommend to read to prepare for motherhood? Surah Maryam, the story of Maryam alayhi salam. That's the that's the that's the tafsir. If you go through and how Allah helped her to birth her baby, that itself gives you the confidence that you're a mother and you can birth on your own, provided that you have enough education and also assisted. The birth should be assisted with the right kind of people rather than just going blindly and following the protocols, which many times it's not necessary. But when it's medically necessary, you know when you need to have that intervention done. So, Surah Maryam, I don't know of any other Islamic stories related to that. But I do suggest you read the Amani birth book, which I have done the training in Amani childbirth education. So there's a book for mothers where you can read the Amani childbirth book. It's around 7580 dirhams in UAE, or you can also download it from Amazon online. And you can read that book because it's a really good book to prepare for motherhood. It's a very good book by Sister Aysha Abrar. The breasts tend to sag because you are actually breastfeeding, and then they lose come, but they usually come back into shape once you have stopped breastfeeding. So you don't have to worry much about it. I wouldn't personally worry about it because during the time of feeding, then your body is anyways not in the right shape, and it's the motherhood that actually is important. So I would suggest that you focus on that aspect, and then maybe once you finish off the weaning stage, then you can look for your coming back to your shape, inshallah. Sister Kafurdeen, could you please prefer the best planning method for pre-pregnancy state? I do this consultation, I do this education for mothers where I suggest the diet according to the prenatal classes. It's composed of a lot of things, but the main thing you need to look out for is have a lot of proteins in your diet, at least 70 to 80 grams of protein in your diet, which is necessary. And the rest of it, when you take the prenatal classes, you will get to know at what stage, what kind of diet you need to have different during different trimesters. Okay, after giving birth, my daughter, my weight is losing day by day. I can eat properly, everything, but now I am becoming very, very thin. That's because when you're breastfeeding, you are actually burning 500 calories per breastfeeding session. So it's okay if you're losing weight, but as long as your baby is thriving well, gaining weight well, having enough wet and poopy diapers, you don't need to worry about anything. And provided that you're not feeling weak or you're not losing your immunity, so that carries a lot of importance. The weight won't matter during this stage when you're breastfeeding her. Is it safe to diet and do exercise after giving a natural birth? It is safe to do light exercises after giving birth, not very heavy, because still you are in the recovering postpartum mode. So it's better that you start at least about 4 to 6 months on after you give birth, because your body is still in the healing stage in the first 3 months, and it does take up a lot of effort and time to produce the milk and give the baby for the body. So just do light exercises and can do some walking. That's no issue. Dieting, I wouldn't suggest, because if you start dieting, there would be changes in your breast milk quality that can affect your baby. So eat what is best for the baby, and so that the baby is not having any side effects or symptoms like reflux, gas, blocked nose. All of these things matter. My daughter is asleep most of the time during the day, then she's mostly awake after 11 p.m. until daybreak. Yeah. How old is your daughter, Janan? Does it take 2 to 3 months for breast milk flow to become good? Will introducing formula interrupt the flow? Definitely, introducing formula at any stage will interrupt the flow. 2 to 3 months. It doesn't take 2 to 3 months for the breast milk to establish, but it depends on your effort. If you are making a consistent effort, keeping a baby log is very important because you can even also establish your milk supply within a month. But if you are just a new mom and you're not receiving the help on time, it is possible that it may take a bit more time. But eventually, if you are, it's important that you are in touch with a breastfeeding counselor or lactation consultant locally in your area, so that they help you establish your milk supply. And it's just observation and seeing your baby newborn behavior, so that you customize your breastfeeding schedule or your eating habits, your rest times according to the baby. So if you have the baby log and you're reporting to your breastfeeding counselor on time, then we can help you out in dealing with those challenges and establishing a milk supply, inshallah. What nutritional foods for breastfeeding do you recommend? For breastfeeding, it's anything that it's not specific for anyone, because all our body types are different, all the baby body types are different. So you need to eat something which is gut friendly. Probiotics is important, protein is important, and see other foods. If they are cooling foods, then it may cause reflux or blocked nose in the baby, probably. If it is also giving you a lot of phlegm, then do not give it to the baby. So what food suits you, the healthy food, then give when you are having that, and see if the baby reacts to it. It's all based on trial and error. Some babies don't react, some babies do react at that stage, and then it improves over a period of time. So when you're eating some food, you just need to observe. If you eat something, maybe you have had a glass of milk and the baby is throwing up more, then it shows that you're not supposed to have that much of milk, and then reduce it and see if the baby's reflux or the spitting up is reducing. So that's how you check with trial and error. She's 8 days old. Yes, 8 days baby up to 2 weeks, they just sleep most of the time. And also, I need to know if she's having any jaundice, Sister Janan. For how long a baby needs to feed only? There is no length of time. Some babies feed 20 to 30 minutes, but max you can say 30 minutes. And if their latch is not proper, it may extend for a long time. So you cannot have the steady time period for the baby, but minimum and on average is 30 minutes. I have to be taking some online Quran classes throughout the week. Is it injustice to my baby? Should I be with my baby all the time? 21 months old. If you can do the Quran classes with taking care of your 21 months old, if she's doing independent play at that time, if she's not clingy, then you can do that. I know it's a mom guilt, but if you feel that to keep up your sanity and your motivation to actually even mothering your children at that time, you could manage that if you can get extra help who can take care of your 21 modes at that time of your Quran classes, if you have anyone from your family or your friends or your neighbors. But if nothing is possible, then and you're not able to attend the Quran classes, no matter what you try with the independent play or the people, then maybe you need to just stop it for some period of time so that you can attend to her at that time. Okay, any more questions? She has jaundice, but she's gradually lost it as you were advised to let her bask in the sunlight. Yes, and even exclusive breastfeeding and feeding on demand helps with the jaundice reduction. It's not necessary that she needs to have the formula milk. The breast milk is the best because it is biodynamic fluid that adjusts to the needs of the baby and even also adjusts to the timings of the day according to your baby. No breast milk is the same. What you give your baby is not the same what the other mom gives her baby. So the both quantity and quality of the breast milk is very different. So I would really suggest that you start exclusively breastfeeding her so that her jaundice goes. And inshallah, it would go by 7 to 10 days, and she won't be sleepy as much at that time. But when she's sleepy, you just need to help her suck by rubbing her ear or expressing in her mouth directly. Jazakallahu khairan, sister. Barakallahu fiki. We have another 10 minutes, so if there are any questions, I'm 8 month pregnant yet still spitting. Any recommendation? Spits in the sense, Sister Aziz, is it vomiting as you're mentioning the spit? Is the spit vomit? Oh, yeah, okay, Sister Janan. You mean your spits are very too much of spit in the mouth is what you're saying, right? I think it's pretty normal because you tend to generate a lot of spit in the mouth. Even I have heard of women who have had it for all the 9 months. As long as it's not vomiting, it's fine. I believe, inshallah. As someone who is fearful of childbirth, what can be done to prepare mentally and physically for childbirth? Take childbirth education classes, because if you are there with other mothers who are attending the same classes and also knowing what to expect, inshallah, that will help you deal with the fear. And if you have the fear of the pain, then it will impact your labor time. It can increase your labor time. A supportive partner, a proper homework for childbirth education, and attending those prenatal classes with other mothers and having a support group will help you in reducing that fear of childbirth, inshallah. I'm not sure. I have pain in my right side of the rib. Can it be possible due to breastfeeding more from that side? I think it should after I started. It started after. I think it started after I started breastfeeding. Yeah, probably. But if it is very unbearable, then it's better that you get it checked with the doctor, because this is something which is not common. But if you have it bearable, then see if you can have a massage done. And is your breast paining as well with that side of the rib? Probably it could be the breastfeeding, but better, sister, if you get it checked if you are not able to manage it on your own. Yeah, okay. We will be ending the session in 4 minutes, inshallah. One of my sister hasn't had any babies for 6 years. She is taking medicines. She is mentally not well now. How can I give emotional support to her? It's a hard situation, sister. Very hard situation. I didn't understand she is mentally not well now in the sense of whether she's depressed or she's having any mental health issues. Surah is best as Ruqya. Yeah, depression. Depression, yes, you can help her by motivating her and talking to her about the destiny of Allah, about His will. She can also try to divert her mind by attending lectures and iman boosting lectures at that time. And also regarding to if she's trying medications, hormonal medications, right? So it's better she also visits any Unani or Ayurvedic consultant to heal her gut through natural foods rather than actually taking hormonal pills, which eventually have a lot of side effects. Even after the birth of the baby, there can be a lot of side effects. So if she's going to a pro natural doctor who will support her with the nutrition and diet, naturopath is there, family functional specialists. These kind of doctors help you with dealing with your issue through natural means. That is via diet, exercise, stress level. So if she's able to visit that speciality, then it will help her in reforming her, healing her gut system, and then also trying for pregnancy. If she's living in UAE, then I have a doctor who I can recommend and who also has helped many mom conceive, inshallah. The surah, it's not the surah. I have told it's Ruqya. Ruqya is a collection of surahs. It's Surah Fatiha, Surah Ikhlas 3 times, Surah uh, Falak 3 times, Surah Nas 3 times, and last two ayat of Surah Baqarah, Ayatul Kursi. So this is the Ruqya. If you can look out for Ruqya Sharia, you will get it on YouTube or online. Just try to go to either duas.com or I think there is salah.com. I'm not sure, but I think you can just also check with the Ruqya or muhammadtim.com because he has suggested a very good plan for doing the Ruqya. Yes, I will be sharing my contact and also how you can reach me, inshallah, by the end of the session. I think it's time to end the session also now. So inshallah, jazakallahu khair for joining the session, and our next session will be live on 18 December, 12 p.m. UTC. You can convert the timings on your Google and check your local timings. And I hope I have benefited all of you through the Q&A sessions and helped you out. So I have my website where I provide the breastfeeding counseling services and new mother education. ahlanmotherhood.com is my website. I'll just type it down. You can also reach me at this number on my WhatsApp or phone call. It's a UAE number. And if you want to have any consultations, I'm there for you for the consultations. A package, if you want a package for throughout your pregnancy or throughout the postpartum, that is the first 2 months in establishing a breastfeeding, I can help you out in that as well. So just send me a message and I could try to help you in your queries, inshallah. I have a new motherhood package which is running in Ahlan Motherhood that is for um, at an offer where you also have you will also be able to get the new motherhood holistic course for free. So inshallah, once you get in touch with me, you can also get the information regarding that as well, inshallah. Don't forget to join our next session, inshallah, on 18th December at the same time. And your local time, you can search in your timeanddate.com. Jazakallahu khairan, everyone. Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.